Hello, internship class. It's Steve. I hope that you have had a great week number 4. And in keeping with our theme of growth, challenge, and success, I thought I would introduce the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion and encourage you to think about these 3 values and how they are or aren't being practiced within your internship experience. So, what do these concepts mean? They can mean many different things to many different people, but generally speaking, when we're talking about diversity, we're looking at representation of cultural groups, and not just cultural groups, but we are looking for ensuring that diverse communities are represented within our organization. And those do include cultural groups, but also would include the LGBT community, individuals with disabilities, individuals in need of accommodations. So when we're speaking of diversity, we're talking about quantifiable representation. So when you're thinking about your internship site, does your internship site have quantifiable representation? Meaning, are there a variety of cultural groups and communities represented within your internship host site's organization? The equity piece, we're focusing on systems and policies. So we want to make sure that the systems and policies that are in place at our internship site are equitable to all groups. So an example that I'll provide here from my experience working with interns in my full-time position related to equity would be, let's say I'm working with a student who says to me, I'm not able to do an unpaid internship. I have to work, I have to earn money. I'm not in a position to be able to accept an unpaid internship. Well, in order to practice equity, we'd want to make sure we have a system in place that provides some financial assistance or funding for any student who might be financially strapped or might have some financial constraints that don't permit them to actually engage in a unpaid internship. And how do we add equity in that case? It would be simply finding some funding resources for the student or putting some funding mechanisms in place that students can tap into, such as scholarship money. Maybe there's an emergency fund for this purpose that colleges and universities can create. So think about your own internship site and how they practice equity, or what are some ways that they can grow in terms of practicing equity with regard to systems and policies. And then inclusion is, you can't have diversity and inclusion really without equity. Inclusion is really allowing each of us to be our own individual, to be our true authentic cultural self, or our true authentic self that values the distinctiveness that we bring to our internship host site and organization. Now, here are some questions to consider when you're examining diversity, equity, inclusion with your internship site. The first one you see here: have certain clients or colleagues fallen out of my awareness? If so, how and why? So if you are in an internship experience where you're working directly with people, when I say fallen out of awareness, I mean, is everybody on your radar? Meaning everybody is visible to you. And I'm not even referring to physically visible, like they're within your eye shot. But what I mean by that, are you considering all of your clients and and appreciating the diverse cultural communities and diverse communities that they bring to your host site organization. The second one relates to the equity piece. How are the systems at your internship promote? Are there systems at your internship that are promoting disparities between different groups? And related to that, the next question: are there conditions in your internship that are maintaining certain groups as a majority? In other words, that are enabling one particular group to be the majority, to have all the power, the privilege, and such. The fourth question there: what must I do to promote the continued acknowledgement and recognition of colleagues from underrepresented groups? We want to invite everyone to the conversation. And in your internship site, we want to make sure that everyone has a voice and they're able to communicate their authentic voice, share their diverse perspectives, share their diverse lived experiences to the larger organization itself. How am I communicating that all belong? So as an intern, think about your communication with your colleagues, if you have fellow interns that you are interfacing with, team members, your supervisor. What are some ways that you communicate an inclusiveness, that everyone truly does belong? And then finally, what about my internship organization's policies might be limiting certain employees' satisfaction and success? So I challenge you, again, since part of our theme for this week is challenge, I challenge you to grow through this topic. So to do some research on your organization, to think critically about your internship host site and examine these questions. And I'd be curious to know what you find. I realize that this is not a graded learning event, so I'm not expecting you all to come back with a reflection paper or anything like that, but I certainly do welcome any comments, insights, and perspectives you have on the diversity, equity, inclusion piece as it does apply to your internship organization and host site. So thank you so much, as always, for listening. I really do appreciate your time. Keep up the great work that you're doing, especially in the discussion forums. I must say, I teach this course every session, and you folks have some of the most quality depth and content that I've seen in the discussion forums. So my hats off to you for that. I really do appreciate all the time and energy that you are putting into both your internship and this course. So thanks again, and have a great day, afternoon, weekend, or evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Thanks.